Hello, I am Rich Kohler, and I'm your child's world literature course teacher. I'd like to start off by introducing myself. I am Rich Kohler. This is my 20th year of teaching here at Cocalico. Um, I am the yearbook advisor. I teach World Lit, and then I also have a 10th grade English course. Uh, I also coach junior high football and girls basketball. And my wife is a learning support teacher, reading specialist over at the middle school. So lots of ties to the school and the district. My philosophy of teaching is respect, responsibility, and hard work. I expect the kids to be respectful to themselves, to me, to their classmates, to the classroom, to the school in general. I also want them to be responsible, act responsibly, take responsibility for their own actions and their own work, and finally to work hard. I always tell the kids that if they give me their best effort and they work hard every single day in here, they'll be successful. Now, that doesn't always equate to an A, but if they do the best that they possibly can, they're going to pass my course and they'll be fine. And I believe get a lot out of the course. The course outline. I'd like to start with some of the big things, and that is the novels. We read Anthem, Things Fall Apart, Night, and Kite Runner, and then we also do the Shakespeare play Othello. With each of these, my goal is obviously to have the kids read and analyze it, but also to take something from it after we've read it. Each one of these have at least one character or multiple characters that are in situations and have to deal with the situations. And we talk about what are the consequences of some of the choices they make. So then, as we're finished with the novels, I ask them to the kids to kind of apply that to their own lives and what is it that we can take away from this character or characters or novel as a whole. With that being said, I tell the kids that they're not always gonna love everything that they're reading, um, but I'm almost positive that they can always get something out of it, something positive out of it. So you may not love Anthem, but uh, some of the choices, some of the consequences, we can learn from that, and then hopefully apply those to our own lives. So those are the novels and the one play we do. We also do several short stories. Most of the time, the short stories are connected to the novels that we're reading at the time, kind of a supplement to those. But I also have, because it is a world literature course, I've handpicked some short stories from authors from around the world about other places around the world. So hopefully the kids get kind of a broader view of literature, not just American lit or British literature. So with those, we also do a lot of times that's where I get my lit responses from. And the main purpose of the lit responses is I'd like the kids to be able to have an opinion, have an idea, and then be able to support it. So with the lit responses, I'll ask them a question, and then they have to use information from the text to support what it is that they're saying. And I always tell them, especially with this, most of these students are upperclassmen. I always use the example of, hey, some of you might want to drive or are driving now and want a car, and in most cases, you can't just go to someone at home and say, "Hey, I want a car," and they're going to say, "Okay." I tell them if you go with some legitimate support to back up what you're saying, it might be more likely that that happens. But that's my goal with that: is anything they say, anything they think, be able to support it with something, and that's what we do in the lit responses. We also do weekly vocab. The vocab quizzes at the end of the week are I give them a number of words that they have to use for the week from the list of the week, and then they have to use them in a story or some piece of writing. It could be a poem, it could be song lyrics, and my goal with that is for them to actually hopefully start using these words in their daily speaking. It's a fact that if you use words and you use them, the more often you use them, they become part of your vocabulary. And Obviously, it's also proven that if you have a large vocabulary, the intelligence is higher. So I'm always telling the kids, like, use these words, try in conversations with your friends, use some of these vocab words. Don't just study them for a quiz and then forget about them, because that's useless. So hopefully sometimes they're coming home to you and using some of these new words, and that would make me happy, and hopefully you as well. We also do weekly grammar and analysis work. I tend to use for grammar no red ink, which is strictly grammar, spelling, punctuation, try to keep their writing fresh and their skills fresh in there. And then the analysis part, we use Study Island. I also use Newsela, which is a nonfiction website, and also Common Lit, which is more the fiction side of things. But in both those cases, Newsela and Common Lit, it asks the students to read something and then answer questions based off of what they've just read. Writing wise, most of the writing comes in our lit responses to the short stories and to the novels. But then also there's a lot of writing connected to our end of novel projects. So whether it's an essay or writing poems or whatever the case may be, the students have options at the end of each novel that most of them are writing. So we're getting the writing in that way. Speaking, I'm a firm believer in getting kids up in front of the class as much as possible. So on a daily basis, will have kids share things out, whether it's in a small group or to the class as a whole. But I think having that confidence to speak in front of a larger group of people is very important. One of the things that you may have heard of is my Wacky Wednesdays, and on Wacky Wednesdays, we try to do something that is creative, and the main rule for Wacky Wednesday is you can't say no. You have to give it a try. So we've talked a lot about how as kids get older, they start to become nervous, embarrassed, scared to say anything because they're unsure of whether they're right or wrong, and therefore kind of just sit there and aren't willing to give it a shot, aren't willing to kind of step out of their comfort zone. So Wacky Wednesdays is my opportunity to try to get them to feel more comfortable with stepping out of their comfort zone a little bit, especially when it comes to trying new things and speaking in front of people. So, and I tell them it's there is no right or wrong. All I want them to do is try, and try without worry. So, and I think our culminating Wacky Wednesday activity is videotaping themselves doing a lip sync, and I've done this for probably 8 years now in my classes, and it's one of the most rewarding things to watch, to see kids that normally just sit there and are quiet and don't want to get out of their comfort zone, to see them lip sync a song and video it and then watch themselves in front of the entire class is pretty amazing to watch. And it makes you feel good at the end of the day to see that happen. If you have any questions for me, you can reach me at rkohler, Kohler, at cocalico.org. That's probably the easiest way to contact me, the quickest way to contact me. If you have any questions, class has been great thus far this semester. I am trying my hardest, and I doubt they've said this to you, but I'm trying to get them to discuss in groups, and they're reluctant to do so, but I'm going to stay patient and keep after it. So if you get a chance to talk to your son or daughter, let them know that Mr. Kohler is expecting them to be able to discuss and freely discuss during class. All right, thank you.